Greetings race fans and welcome back to Project Racing for the 2025 season. This is round 2 at Spa, and after round 1 this is how our standings look. It is Tango who is leading the championship, winning the first round on 32 points, with Cool Breeze on 25 and Taffy Dog on 23. Aruthra has 17 points in 4th place. The Noticer has 10 in 5th, with Crammy in 6th place on 8 points. Tarmac Terror is in 7th on 6 points, and Bravo at the back in 8th place on 4 points total. We were going to bring you the sprint race prior to this one, but unfortunately an error took place and we lost the replay. So what we've had to do is to just bring you the results straight. Very quick race, of course, the sprint. And this is how things finished out. I'm told it was a fabulous race. It was a 13-minute long fabulous race here around Spa. Taffy Dog taking the top score though. Of course, the sprint runs in reverse championship order. Taffy and teammate Cool Breeze locking out P1 and P2. Tango managed to get up to 3rd place though in the Ferrari, and Aruthra in 4th, with Crammy, the Noticer and Tarmac Terror finishing right at the very back of that mini sprint. We've got the medium and the hard tyres available to our drivers today. And we get ready for 30 laps around the iconic, historic Spa 24-hour configuration. This is how things look after qualifying. We've got Tarmac Terror starting at the back. We're missing a driver today, it would appear, unfortunately, but in 7th place in qualifying, last of all, was Tarmac Terror in 7th place. We have the Noticer in the all-yellow Mercedes in P6, with Crammy in the bright blue Mercedes in P5. Aruthra in the white Mercedes Privateer written on the back of his car. There we've got starting position. I just need to make sure I get all my notes organised. Taffy managed 3rd place in his Western Sydney Racing Porsche, with teammate just pipping him and managing to get onto the front row. This is the 24-hour layout, so the starting grid is after La Source on the approach up to Eau Rouge and Radion. And then Tango is your pole sitter out there and managing once again to secure the pole position. So let's just reorganize our screen slightly for you, make sure that we get you the best possible view of the action as we go for 30 laps here around the Belgian Grand Prix circuit. Let's go for the start then, and get ready and lock in for what should promise to be a fabulous race. Round 2 begins then at Spa. We've got 5 lights and it's dropped the clutch and go, go, go. The Ferrari typically starting well, but so does the Mercedes, and the Porsche struggling off the line. Immediately Western City Racing getting absolutely swamped by both, and now they make contact, the two teammates there. That means Cool Breeze ending up having to lift and fall back behind both the Noticer and teammate Taffy Dog. Aruthra having already screamed into the lead ahead of those group, but Tango it is who's managed to get himself up into the P1 safely, and there was a little tap, I think, on the back of the Noticer. Let's try and have a look for you from his perspective. I'm pretty sure we're about to see a little love tap in the rear here, possibly from Taffy Dog, was it? Or was that Cool Breeze, as we head down in towards Lake Com, and just ending up running wide, unfortunately, was the Noticer, and will drop down into 4th, 5th, now 6th position, and he won't be happy with that as Tarmac Terror tries to wrestle some grip on those racing hard tyres through Lake Com and Malmedy. The car always understeers through Malmedy, but that was pretty pronounced then for the Ferrari, which normally in league racing here on GT7, in the current evolution of the balance of performance, has been driving away from the start incredibly well. It's Tango from Aruthra. Cool Breeze just putting a move on Taffy Dog. I think that was team orders happening because of the difference in strategy. Cool Breeze going for the mediums, Taffy Dog going for the hards here. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with one-stop race here today for the drivers, but Crammy manages to get through into Le Fagna ahead of teammate the Noticer. I just heard a smashing sound coming from somewhere on the circuit, but unfortunately I didn't manage to catch. I think that might have been just a launch up on a curb and back down again. It's Taffy Dog in 4th position, right in the middle of the order at the moment, and it is the Noticer on the medium tyres, just trying to get some grip on that awkward, difficult Mercedes AMG GT3 here. But teammate Crammy managing to do a little bit better at this stage. Both drivers on the medium tyres, but it's Western City Racing who have split the strategy. That could be really pivotal later on and work wonders for them at Dragon Trail. It's Cool Breeze in P3 and catching Aruthra and Tango. But it's Tango who has started on the hard tyres and has already got a nice, comfortable gap here. Wow, absolutely wriggling down on the brakes. Aruthra possibly outbraking himself. He runs wide through Last Source, misses the apex naturally, and then it's going to be Cool Breeze right hot on his heels. Let's ride with Cool Breeze as we try to navigate Eau Rouge, and then Radion tucked up in the dirty air. I wonder if we're getting quite a bit of lag here on Aruthra's car, because it seems erratic by his standards anyway, as he runs through. But it certainly seems like Cool Breeze struggling through Eau Rouge and Radion in comparison to Aruthra's Mercedes, as the Porsche then much better on the brakes, as we see time and time again here in GT7. And the Porsche very stable on classical corner braking procedures, perhaps less so when you're trying to balance throttle and braking on long corners, but your classic slow in fast out corner really favours the well braking Porsche, especially so on these medium tyres. It's lap 2. Tango leads Aruthra ahead of Cool Breeze, the closest battle I think on the grid at the moment, and Western City Racing chasing down that South Coast Racing of Aruthra, the white Mercedes AMG, with the Kraken on the hood, on the bonnet, and then a little look down into Le Fagna, but Cool Breeze snatching a break on the way in, so losing a little bit of momentum, but trying to put the pressure on, trying to fake a move in and out, trying another strange, well, unusual braking position there into Stavolo 1 was Cool Breeze. Didn't quite work out for him, and then he kicks out, gets out onto the dirt, and it just feeds into a really difficult negative spiral in terms of grip for him. He's wrestled the control back, fortunately though slipping back from Aruthra and into the clutches of his teammate, who'll be glad of the slipstream at the moment on this awkward hard tyre phase, where he's fat with fuel and he's got cold hard tyres to navigate with as well. But obviously that car will get better and better throughout the stint, whereas the medium will peak earlier and fade off much faster. It's Tango, Aruthra, Cool Breeze and Taffy Dog. Crammy is still ahead of his teammate here, excuse me, not teammate, but manufacturer mate, I should say, because we've got the Michelin sponsored South Coast Racing car, and it's Noticer still struggling around the exit of Last Source. I think it's fair to say Tarmac Terror, he's not exactly terrorising Spa. I think he'll be having nightmares about this Spa circuit after the course of today's event, as he's clearly trying to generate some heat into the front axle there. Tango leading, and Aruthra is not out of sight yet, but Tango, remember, is still on those hard tyres. So it's Taffy and Tango starting on the hards, as well as Tarmac Terror. So an interesting set of challenges for the drivers. The 888 here of Crammy is on the mediums, and should really be trying to move forward as fast as he possibly can. Looks like Cool Breeze though starting to catch Aruthra once again, as perhaps we'll join him on board as we run into Blanchimont corner now. Should be flat here at this stage. Tyres up to temperature, especially for the mediums. And excuse me, that was Pouhon, not Blanchimont, as we try to avoid careening into those turquoise curves. A little bit of upshift whine going on there, which is a great effect. Aruthra just tapping that bollard, but of course they're kind of like your bendy man outside of a tyre manufacturer. Aruthra going wide, so Cool Breeze had to pick one way or the other, and he picked left and he found a gap, and with the momentum now, and he goes through Blanchimont. There is a lift through Blanchimont, and it looks like that momentum carrying him to a decent gap, but then it looks like Aruthra was way out of shape he's slowing the car. He doesn't want to take advantage after making a manoeuvre like that. Although he did allow Cool Breeze to get back in front, but it looks like it's going to be taking the position back again, coming out of the bus stop. And Cool Breeze a little bit nervous on the brakes here, kind of expecting Aruthra to continue overshooting the braking. Meanwhile, Taffy Dog has got closer, and of course Tango has got further away from the group, as he's already dealt with Radion, and they haven't entered Eau Rouge. A nice wide entry from Aruthra that time, but Cool Breeze is picking up the tow. I want to suggest it looks like Taffy's being towed along as well, which is fantastic for him and for Western City Racing. But unfortunately, both losing time in the chase for Tango out here. Taffy and Cool Breeze hoping to get back onto the podium here, as they were in the sprint race, but sadly not able to secure the win yet in a feature race this season. Out running wide, Aruthra once again. It does really seem to be having difficulty getting the front end in on this Mercedes AMG. That is the classic struggle with this technically mid-engine but front-engine weight distribution Mercedes with a very long bonnet and wheelbase. Looks good and looks menacing, but it's a difficult beast to tame. And the Porsche has the exact opposite problem. All the power and all the weight at the back of the car. So lots of adjustments. And the Porsche, undoubtedly, I think the faster car over a single lap, once a skilled driver has been able to adapt their driving style to it. But the learning curve is, I think, a little bit steeper on the Porsche than most other GT3s, thanks to the rear engine profile of the car. It's lap 4 of 30. Tango leads this battle of Aruthra first, in second there, and then Cool Breeze in third, with them just gapping Taffy Dog slightly. Taffy keen not to get involved in any contact here and just stay with the pairing in front of him, who are on the worse, or at least shorter-lived tyre, and slower, will be slower strategy at the end of the race, or at least in the second phase of the race. Tyre restrictions decreeing that the only available tyres are the medium and hards. We also, in the intervening period between round 1 and round 2, race control have issued a change in the rulings around blue flags. Blue flags have now been eliminated, and drivers are free to race to hold position and hold themselves on the lead lap. So let's see if that features into our race later on. Cool Breeze will be looking for a good opportunity now to take a strong line through the next corner. Takes a much tighter line on the right-hander in that Eau Rouge Radion section. Aruthra, though, I think still managing to get a little bit of additional speed. Behind Cool Breeze is a decent chunk now of time. Taffy not too close, as Cool Breeze almost punts Aruthra. Thanks to the better braking performance of the Porsche at this stage. Looks like the front left getting slightly more worn then on Aruthra's car. Unfortunately for him. Don't panic, reads his rear wing. I'm not sure if that's a message to himself in his rear view mirror. I think that's probably the only person that's going to be able to read that message. So maybe that is a little bit of self-talk going on for Aruthra, as the sun glints off here in Spa. Looks like we might have a rare dry day, and it looks like Aruthra goes wide that time on the way through Blanchimont. It's on the way through Pouhon. I keep getting those two corners mixed up, but Pouhon, and a tricky corner at the best of times. I don't think he touched the dreaded inside curve, but clearly suffering understeer still on that Mercedes AMG. I wonder if his front tyres are overheated rather than underheated at this stage. I can't imagine they would be too cool at this point, but maybe he's got his brake balance too far to the front. Let's see if we can navigate this high-speed section into the ultra-low-speed section of the bus stop once again without contact. But Aruthra is so quick in a straight line, runs wide on the way through Blanchimont, but loses time, has to dip out of the throttle, otherwise a penalty was incoming. If you run outside of track limits with the throttle on full, you will suffer the wrath of some penalty time applied by GT7 here. But currently Aruthra really living with the pace of Western City Racing at this stage. Cool Breeze should be able to now get away, I think, on form anyway. maybe it is the fact that Arutha can't, in fact, see that "Don't Panic" sign through his rear view mirror. He has got a classic rear view mirror rather than a rear view camera available to him. And of course, he's got his two wing mirrors, left and right here. Although the right-hand mirror obscured from our replay perspective. I don't suppose it's fully obscured for him, but the safety netting on a GT3 car can obscure that considerably. So at the moment, though, everybody navigating Leigh with aplomb. Sorry for that. As we'll have a look then at Crammy versus the Noticer, the two equal machines on equal tyres here, but racing for Bitcoin, the Noticer, and Crammy for the South Coast Racing here. I called it the AAA earlier. It's 868 by mistake, as Crammy and the Noticer dives down the inside of Rivage, and that's an unusual place to complete a move, but certainly pressurising now into Jackie Ick's corner, the left-hander, formerly known as No Name, but I prefer honouring Jackie Ick's anyway. As we head into then the Huant section, quite a wide entry, a very wide entry then for Crammy, who again has to dip out of the throttle. Then it feeds into a wide exit of Puon as well, and managing to just hold on to that 5th place at this stage. Tarmac Terror is still at the back in 7th place on the racing hard tyres, and we will see if he can pick up some pace throughout the course of this stint. But it's now Crammy's turn to run wide on this section of the track, as the gap has just opened out slightly. Let's head back towards Arutha, and I think we've just had a problem for Arutha, as potentially an overtake here from Taffy Dog. Let's ride just on chase cam of Taffy Dog, see what happened. It was Arutha running wide. This seems to have been the story of the race so far, as going on by and making it fairly simple in the end for Taffy Dog, who gets ahead and back into that 3rd place now. And Arutha significantly struggling with the Mercedes to get through Blanchimont safely, and now getting the braking done and in towards bus stop, perhaps over steering into the first part of the bus stop. And look at the rear also slipping around for Arutha, and I think the medium tyres are already done for here on only lap 7 on the Mercedes. Things looking a little bit better for Cool Breeze. He's managing to keep his tyres under control. There's a massive slide from Taffy Dog. That is going to get you some Webbo style points from Arutha. That's going to get you some style points. Let's have a look at what happened here. It was quite a low speed one, but pitches it right into a spin and then recovers it nicely. Unfortunately, though, that means for him that Taffy Dog will get away. Let's have a look at that line that Arutha takes. Extremely far left of the circuit as he enters Eau Rouge. Gives him a straighter run through Radion, but he is losing time ultimately to Taffy Dog thanks to that La Source oversteer snap. So let's go back to this battle for 5th position. The Noticer has now got ahead of Crammy, but Crammy with a good run down the Kemmel Straight here, and getting the inside line as they head towards Leigh, and they rub wheel arches, and the Noticer will try and go around the outside, but he couldn't make it stick. Crammy completing the move and almost playing after you, sir, with each other. Oh, and then stuffing it through Malmedy, getting a rear tyre out on the gravel on the exit of Malmedy and letting the Noticer back through again. And they're just trading mistakes and errors. Unfortunately, the two of them under the high pressure environment here of Project Racing. The flash of the lights I don't think was deliberate. If the drivers are racing on controller, the flashing light is keyed into the L3 button, so pressing it too hard can result in that. And how about that for a slide and a recovery from Crammy as he drove completely over our camera position. I wonder what's happening with Crammy now. I wonder if that was a reset to track or a sudden teleportation issue as he ran through. But he has now let the Noticer completely off the hook, although the Noticer has now managed to transgress track limits and will take a penalty half-second off throttle on the exit of the next section. Arutha catching back to Taffy Dog, who's just putting the lights on there for a moment through the bus stop, And Arutha still snapping and weaving and snaking around. The drivers are going to be very keen to make sure that they can try to one-stop this one, with the medium and the hard tyres being the option today available to them. Plenty of practice time has been available as well. 2 weeks between races here at Project Racing, and the drivers also able to acclimatise after the long flight out of Sydney. Over the hill then, and Arutha off the track once again through Raidillon, and perhaps needing to commit a little bit more practice time potentially, but let's get really close and tight into that very attractive South Coast racing car of Arutha, as he runs through, and Crammy has pitted. Crammy was struggling, I have to say, on those medium tyres, so having only used half a tank of fuel, he has decided that lap 8 is going to be unachievable. Do 7 complete laps on the medium and pit. So I think we'll almost certainly have to do a 2-stop strategy here. So may only use the hard tyres up to something like lap 22 or 3, so that he can run a similar length 3rd stint on the medium tyres. But Taffy Dog committing to the hards early on, trying to use the slipstream from his teammate in front. Whether that eventuates or not, we shall wait and see. The noticer in 5th, and then we've got Tarmac Terror, who has picked up a position here, and that is Crammy just exiting the 24-hour layout pit arrangement on the after Raidillon, on the approach to the Kemmel Straight. That's why they look so close on the circuit. Very long pit exit, very long pit pattern and lane and deficit that it costs to take a pit stop. That will also feed into the driver's desire to try to one-stop this one, if at all possible, as Crammy now tries to catch Tarmac Terror. Tango leads this race, though, as he has done from pole position. It's been uninterrupted, unchallenged to this point, and while it was an unusual sprint race result, the usual suspect is at the head of the field at this point. But don't go anywhere, because you never know when these cars will let go on the drivers around this punishing circuit. Crammy completes a move there. New tyres, new fresh tyres, I think was okay on track limits on the curb on the exit of Pouhon corner. And Tarmac Terror then slipping back down to 7th position. Tarmac Terror starting on the hards, staying on the hards to this point, and Crammy then completing and continuing through. That is the noticer getting a little bit out of shape as he goes through the bus stop, outbraking himself maybe those mediums though, very second hand though to this point in the race, this lap 9. I think they might be trying to target 1/3 distance on the mediums, the medium starters, if they can. Arutha's tyres also dropping off, and the last thing you want is a car that can't stick to the racetrack around Spa-Francorchamps here. Taffy Dog, 3rd position, defending his place then from Arutha will be the challenge for Taffy Dog. Not necessarily trying to stay with teammate Cool Breeze. Got the Red Bull, the big dollar Red Bull sponsorship, as well as Coca-Cola Zero, and a little bit of a mix of Simracing equipment with Thrustmaster and Logitech here as the sponsors. So they've managed to navigate that with their PR department very smartly indeed. I wonder if one driver is racing Thrustmaster and the other a True Force Logitech GT. I will wait to hear on that one, but also with the Spotify sponsorship as well. They are flush with those racing dollars. Our Western Sydney Racing. Tango leads us. Let's have a look at Tango. How is he doing on these tyres? Well, they're about 1/3 worn to the most worn tyre, and Cool Breeze, I think, managing to cope with the tyre deck quite comfortably at this stage on the in the Porsche, equalising his wear rates quite neatly. Looks like the right-hand side of the car, unusually for a clockwise circuit, the right-hand side of the car seems to be suffering the most deg, but he's managing front and back axles quite neatly here in the Porsche as well. So presumably just coping with the brake balance distribution. That's about all you can do really in the cockpit. You can play with the fuel mix, but most drivers won't be doing that. They'll be preferring Lyco or short shifting. As Taffy Dog comes through then. Big thank you for the Webbo stickers on the car as well. He's gone for the Mobile 1 style, and I noticed Cool Breeze had gone for the Pennzoil style sticker just under the driver and passenger windows. Taffy Dog not caring about the bollards going through Malmedy corner, just trying to cope with the anticipated understeer through Malmedy, and perhaps getting a little bit more turning momentum than he had hoped for running through there as he dips out those rubber-mounted bollards that thankfully won't damage the car or themselves while being run over. This is the pit stop then for the noticer for Bitcoin Racing. He has put some Bitcoin logos on the car, as you can see, and he is also refueling. He's changed tyres and now refueling. Will he brim the tank here to try and minimise his amount of fueling later on? He absolutely has. So will he be able to get to the end of the race? 20 laps remain. We are at exactly 1/3 distance as the noticer pits, and then we'll come out behind Tarmac Terror, who's still on his hard tyres from the start. There you can see the car just exiting the pits. I said he'll come out behind. They'll come out almost level here. Will the two rivals here, as Tarmac Terror does manage to accelerate through Eau Rouge and Radion and back into 6th place again, not for the first time today either, for his Redline Syndicate Racing, the RSR Ferrari-backed group here. Again, another nice nod there. The 99 has put the Webbo sticker on the bonnet, which I'm grateful for. And here is Tango as well. Identical liveries, with the exception, of course, of the car number. He's gone for number 3. Also managed to get some PlayStation sponsorship there for Redline Syndicate. Tango leads us. Cool Breeze is second and has got a big and comfortable gap then to teammate Taffy Dog, whose pace has not been able to live. That last lap from Cool Breeze was a 2:15. Tango also managing a 2:15, and 1/10 slower only was Cool Breeze on tyres this old. Absolutely crazy. But as the fuel drops off, compare that Tango's fastest was on lap 3. Cool Breeze puts in his fastest on lap 10, and that will leave his engineers scratching their heads somewhat. But like I say, just underlining the fact that he's managed to run those tyres nice and long, and every lap he can buy now is a lap he doesn't have to run on the hard tyres, and he'll be grateful for that. And it gives his teammate plenty of information as well. His teammate, who will have to go onto those tyres, at least in the second phase of the race. I imagine that Western Sydney are looking at a one-stop today. I'm not sure everybody is going to make it. And Aruthra has stayed within sight here of Taffy Dog, despite his previous excursions, but been suffering with handling issues so far today. Has a South Coast Racing rider here. I think we might ride on board with Aruthra for a moment, see how those tyres are holding up. And he's also putting in some good lap times now. 2:16.5 is his best. 2:19 was his last as they run through. And that this current lap is only 1/10 of a second, even at this point on the lap, slower than his best lap overall. Still going astonishingly wide through Blanchimont. Just doesn't want to lift or downshift through there. It's that Taffy Dog just heading through the bus stop indeed. And here we go then into the very, very narrow pit lane. On some of our tracks in Gran Turismo, control is wrested from the driver nice and easily onto the pit lane. Absolutely not. As they run into Spa, you really have to scrub the speed off, not for the pit lane speed limit, but to actually get your wide GT3 car into that super tight pit lane, and woe betide anybody trying to go in to that line while on in wet conditions or with dead tyres as well. That is a real struggle. Crammy then here in P5 at the moment. We've got the noticer in P6, has cleared Tarmac Terror thankfully. They're on the same tyre, but of very different ages, of course. And there you can see Tarmac Terror flashing the lights mid-corner, just pressing down, I suspect, on his controller a little hard as he rotates the steering wheel to navigate this fearsome Spa 24-hour layout. The start line was after La Source. The finish line is before La Source here in the 24-hour layout for the endurance and WEC challenges, as well as the international GT take place at Spa. So it's slightly unusual that it's slightly less than the posted lap count. But of course, most series who race endurance will do a rolling start, not a grid start, which makes quite a lot of sense to avoid those lap 1 incidents. Wow, Tarmac Terror, you can see the hard tyres on the rear of the car, on the rear of the Ferrari, just denying him traction on the way out, and that will cause him a little bit of a surprise, make him think twice then about heading out of the corners in his normal fashion. Just going to have to try and short shift, try and minimise the time in the low gears while getting the car out. And of course, all of those adjustments that you make, you reverse as soon as you put on new tyres and you've got a much better handling car. So it's always a joy to put on new tyres, especially if you're going a step softer in compound. Very enjoyable for the drivers, no doubt. So as we run through then, it's Tango still leading, Cool Breeze in second place, the medium tyres hanging on at the moment, and he is trying to minimise his time on those hard tyres later on. Now I think it's comfortably the case that he should get through to using just 2 sets of tyres today and going for 1 pit stop overall. He's managing to use nearly the whole tank of fuel on these medium tyres. Is a Western Sydney racer at the front at the moment of the 2. Cool Breeze in that second place, and a big gap back to Taffy Dog. So actually the crossover point is not going to be far away for the 2 strategies here. I think we may have a driver planning on 2 stopping, but at least at the moment anyway, Taffy Dog having used a lot less fuel so far, waiting to put the power on thanks to using the hard tyres with lower grip performance, has meant that he's able to save a bit of fuel relative to his teammate, who's been treating this first stint much like a sprint race. Of course they did, I think it was 6 laps total, 5 or 6 laps in the sprint. So they got comfortable. They were able to make any setup adjustments with the conditions of the track and time of day as they found it today. But now flashing red on the fuel, so wondering and worrying about that fuel line. I imagine he's got a further lap after this one still left in the tank, but that's interesting to see Cool Breeze using that fuel now. Of course, we do have fairly fast refueling rate here at Project Racing, but it's all relative, it's all identical for the drivers. No difference between the team flow rates naturally on those gravity-based Bowsers in the pit lane. So there is a limit to how fast the fuel will flow in. So the more fuel you use, the longer you stay stationary, receiving fuel at the pit stop. And Cool Breeze is taking it very, very carefully indeed as he runs through. His teammate Taffy Dog should, in theory, be starting to gain his last 2 laps, high 2-minute 17s and a 2-minute 18, slightly slower lap that time. But Cool Breeze was slower still to 19.2 on his previous lap. So Taffy Dog is closing in now. But I think from his perspective, he can no longer see his teammate. Let's see as he goes over the hill of Radion, turns into the Kemmel Straight. Will he be able to see his teammate up in front, or is he too far away? He should just see a disappearing faint dot on the horizon. There it is, just turning into Lecom. But that is possibly more than the tyre differential in pit stop at this stage. So Taffy with a lot of work to do in the second phase of the race. But of course that better fuel economy he's achieved will hopefully help him close that gap by around a second or so. I'm currently estimating anyway. Taffy Dog in 3rd. Aruthra is in 4th place. He's stopped already and fueled up. So he's trying to now get the hard tyres to work. That's an awkward situation for him, going from a light fuel medium tyre to a high fuel hard tyre stint. The car will feel incredibly different. Its weight transfer will not operate. Still struggling to find the ideal line going through the corners is the number 42, Aruthra. So at the moment he is currently navigating Lake Com, just checking out how the car's behaving for him. It does appear to be a little bit more comfortable. The added weight seems to leave that Mercedes feeling possibly a little bit more stable on the car. Maybe he's made an adjustment in the pit stop as well to the handling. Got it more to his liking here. Aruthra P4 at the moment, but quite a long distance, including obviously the pit stop deficit to Taffy Dog right now. I'm just checking out, is that Cool Breeze heading in towards pit road? It is. In he goes then, threading the needle on the way through. And Crammy running in P5 on the mediums at the moment. I think it's Crammy that will be two-stopping this race, minimising his time on the hards even further than the medium starters towards the front of the grid. Crammy 5th, the Noticer is in 6th place, and he is presumably fueled to a finish, but he has just under 3/4 of a tank to run and half the race distance to go. And there you can see that beautiful colour change wrap on the end plates and rear wheel arch section of the car, which is similar to his teammate who has the entire car painted in that one. His teammate not with us today, Bravo 21. Hopefully he'll be back in 2 weeks' time to take part in the following race. We'll just talk a little bit about the calendar while the gaps are quite large at the moment. The calendar, this is round 2 of 10. Then we'll be heading to a home race for the drivers in Bathurst. I've got the long flight that time. Before then, a short hop by Oceanic standards up to Japan and Mount Fuji. Then we go back to Europe for the Red Bull Ring and across to South America for Interlagos for race 6. Trial Mountain is race 7. Then we go back to Japan for Suzuka for race 8. Sardinia is race 9, and finishing at the Temple of Speed, Monza itself, we will be, as the Noticer is trying to find a shortcut there around Blanchimont and not succeeding. Race 10 on, I think that is the 10th of August, will be Monza. And we have alternating sprint race weekends, so the next race will not be sprint, the one after that will. So brilliant to do a full-on World Championship tour of the globe here, as Tarmac Terror is pitting and Tango is pitting as well. So right on target here. End of lap 14, start of lap 15 for both of the Redline Syndicate racing cars, and into the pits comes your leader, car number 3, and that should mean that Taffy Dog has the overlap now sufficient to get back ahead. There go the hard tyres, and that's unusual for me. We actually get a tyre change happening comfortably and notified in the pits before the car comes out of the pit lane, but that's working well for him. Photographer's busy. The junior photographers probably taking pictures of cars at rest. It's the advanced photographers that are trackside taking them at speed. Tango feeds out. Taffy Dog does go through. That means that Cool Breeze has taken his pit stop as well. He's now getting in touch with the grip of the hard tyres shod Porsche, and his rival here pitting 1 lap later at least. This is Tango. Can he stay ahead here, who have a much slower run up the hill? But Tango will be followed, I think, momentarily by Cool Breeze, but actually the gap is pretty large at this point. Is Tango just taking his time going through the Camel Straight? No, all is well, all is well. Just getting a little bit concerned there. But of course then the gap to Taffy Dog should be reducing as soon as these hard tyres are up to temperature. Taffy running very low on fuel now. Has got into the second half of the race. He'll be pleased about that one with the fuel tank, and should then be able to not even have to brim the tank with fuel to get this car home to the end of lap 30. His fuel economy has been very good indeed. Maybe he's been doing a little bit of management here to make sure that he opens the medium tyre window for the final stint of the race. But clearly, the team engineers deciding that it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other as to the correct strategy, or they would rather make sure that their drivers are in different positions on the track with regard to the grip available to them. It should all equalise by the time they get to the end of the race. This is Taffy Dog then, low on fuel now, I think less than a lap left, as he enjoys a single lap in the lead at this point, braking heavily, not heavily enough into the bus stop, and there indeed he goes towards the pit lane, and then we'll head in and get seen to by the team, who are all outfitted in Western Sydney Racing colours, as you would absolutely expect. Cool Breeze in P3, can see Arutha behind, who has been out on the hard tyres a little bit longer, is a little bit lighter on fuel. Cool Breeze has more fuel on board than Arutha, so one of those drivers has made either a safe or a dangerous decision with regard to how much fuel to put in the car. Taffy Dog went in with 1 litre remaining in the car, so picking his time absolutely brilliantly. He comes out of the pits momentarily. I think he'll come out of the pits well behind Taffy Dog and well behind Cool Breeze, and potentially feeding out close to Arutha. No, it's going to be even behind Arutha at this point. Taffy, those last couple laps hurting him, I think. Let's ride with Arutha then. We'll see if we can find a Porsche, a purple Porsche, to our right, some part of the racetrack. Taffy Dog has managed to exit, so just coming over the hill. Was that just a flash of a car in front? It was. Arutha up to speed, but picking up a half-second penalty will almost certainly deny him the opportunity to move forward, as the Western Sydney Racing drivers are taking turns to lap. I think this is Tarmac Terror in P7 at this stage. Fastest lap still Tango 2:15.433. I think that was still set. No, he did set a good lap on low fuel, so he did manage to make that work. This is Tarmac Terror then, teammate. So at the moment, Redline Syndicate are both first and last on our circuit, and again the team's just we'll be looking at Tarmac Terror and kind of showing him the telemetry traces, helping him improve. And that's probably not going to help at all. I think getting out of the way, possibly, although he no longer needs to get out of the way, but deciding to use the inside of the corner and kind of abuse it slightly on the tyres and the grass, and that's possibly a knock-on effect of that miscornering through Pouon corner, and he's going to let Arutha through as well. He's also doing a little bit of a cutback, trying to clean off those tyres, but he keeps ending up on the grass for a moment. It's not quite working out for Tarmac Terry. He's trying to clean those tyres, reheat them now, and really struggling after his pit stop to get the grip back. The Noticer is in P6, big lift, big downshift, all the way down to 3rd gear for the Noticer through Eau Rouge, and then possibly trying to change something on the dash, getting a little bit distracted here. And really at this phase of the tyre life, there's a big problem here for the Noticer. I wonder if he's had a failure on the in the cockpit, because yeah, something is not working out for him at all here. This is a little bit frightening to be on board with the Noticer. What on earth is going on? It's the damage. After going off circuit, he's now struggling like crazy. Just needs to stay on the circuit for a moment here. Try and deal with this. Just take every corner a gear or two lower than he needs to before he can make the adjustments necessary. The damage has cleared for the Bitcoin Racer, and now the car should start to feel a little bit more normal, albeit flat spotted and creased and crinkled after contact with the barrier. The Noticer then staying, well, it says in 6th place, so I'm guessing that is that's Tarmac Terror teammate Tango, who's just had to navigate the Noticer and put a lap on P6. So he's got a good healthy gap here on the hard tyres, and that is the noticer going off circuit once again in the dirty air, just staying too close, I think, to Tango, getting too close to the sun, I think, for a moment there for the noticer, and failing to anticipate. I'm very confused now as to what's happening. I think this looks like a sim rig failure for the noticer. Unfortunately, I think we have got a serious miscalibration happened, and I think he might need to invest in some real world currency, because the Bitcoin equipment he's been given is causing some very alarming issues with the car. Surely, wow, exit stage right for the noticer, avoids contact with the barrier once again. I kind of want to cut away, but it's just horrible to watch, but you have to keep watching it for some reason. Anyway, you can see the braking assist coming on as he enters the brakes, but yeah, look, there is something seriously wrong here. This is not driver error. This is a driver desperately trying to wrestle control, and it wouldn't surprise me if the noticer decides to call it quits here, because he's basically crabbing down the straights. It's almost like he's in the wet and he's aquaplaning, but this is bone dry circuit, although the clouds are coming in here. Thankfully, we don't have any driver showing me their weather radar on their right hand lower corner of the screen at this point. Normally it's the track map. Sometimes you get lucky and you'll see something like one of the other HUD menu options here. But Cool Breeze runs into Lecom, and he's got chronic understeer at this stage. Oh, so chronic, someone's spinning. Who is that spinning, running through Lecom? Was that the noticer again, or was that just the change of direction on the cars? I think it might have been the noticer. Let's just check that out again. As I say, I don't want to keep showing problems for the same driver. I think that was post situation. Here we head in towards, oh, dear me, wow. I mean, it would look good in a drift challenge, but boy oh boy, that's not happening for the noticer. I won't embarrass him any further by showing what's going on, but I don't want to miss another driver's accident by assuming it's the noticer. Hopefully he can recalibrate, hit start, and then restart that racing wheel, because yeah, something very wrong for the noticer at this point, and it's not damage on the car anymore. Cool Breeze is in that second place at the moment, though. Taffy Dog, interestingly, has gone on to a second set of hard tyres, at least in my readout. So he's going hard instead of using the medium tyres for the second stint. That's an interesting condition, an option. I thought he deliberately went past the halfway point of the race so that he could use the mediums and be quicker on the second stint. But at this stage anyway, he's declining the use of the option tyre, sticking with the hard, as the weather appears to be darkening slightly. I wonder if we are going to get some rain before the race is out. Aruthra still in P4, and at the moment unable to extract quite the level of pace of the group of drivers vying over the podium. Let's see, can we do any better going through Blanchemont this time? Yes, we stay within track limits. So Aruthra has managed to find a line and a gear and a speed entry that allows him to do that. But again, that rear of the car snapping out from him mid bus stop, easily done, because the gradient change through there and the banking and the off camber corners really throw the car around, and you just hit the throttle at the wrong point, and it's curtains. P4 though for Aruthra, right in the middle of our grid. We've got Crammy in P5. We have no drivers near each other at the moment. The noticer is still in 6th place, and things looking a little smoother possibly. He's got hazard lights on just to help his rivals as they approach. Let's watch him through Eau Rouge and see if there are any more handling issues. I think there are. I think he's slowed right down to 2nd gear to get through there. So I am at an absolute loss to explain what's happening for the noticer. far less erratic through there than we've seen him in previous laps. But the Tarmac Terror is catching the Noticer now, and actually this looks to be the closest two cars on circuit. So with all the problems the Noticer has had, Tarmac Terror is closing in. Actually, Crammy is now in for his second pit stop, and that was the Noticer spinning again at Les Combes, and Tarmac Terror doesn't need a second invitation to take 6th place. This time not thanks to any pit stops from rivals. This is a genuine 6th place now, as of course he gets ahead of the Noticer with all of his troubles and tribulations currently. Crammy though in the pits, as I said, getting the fuel put in for the final 10 laps of the race. I think he might be just using the medium tyres today. Medium, medium, medium is the way to go, and splitting the race neatly into thirds. And with his spark plug character on the back of the car. No new sponsors have appeared on Crammy's matte light blue shirt. Is screaming for some golf sponsorship, so he needs to have a word with his PR department, try and get that orange stripe inserted on the car as well. Be very, very good indeed. But just getting a nice close look at the front wing, and it's a little bit cracked and scratched, so it's going to have to go back to the polishers at least, if not be rewrapped on that front corner when he gets there. I don't think you can just see those hairline cracks across the headlight. Thankfully we're running in the daylight today, but you don't want to punch out a headlight here at Spa if the light starts to dip. You really don't want to be racing with a single headlight, or zero, even worse of course. Arutha in 4th, Taffy Dog in 5th place. Can he see his teammate? He can, and I think he's getting closer now here on the hard tyres. Cool Breeze also on the hard tyres. Has changed tyre from his starting selection. Taffy Dog has not, at least to the best information I have available to me. Sometimes tyre readings can be mistaken, but this looks very much like Taffy Dog. No doubt over the manufacturer here on the rear wing, of course. Not content with the embossed logo on the on the engine cover, but they've also gone for full sponsorship on the rear wing, or at least holding space for another sponsor. There's not a lot of room on this beautiful purple, blue and red Western Sydney racing car. Nicely designed and liveried here. Fantastic warm summer's sunny day in Spa-Francorchamps, an early summer for Belgium, and looks to be the sun has definitely brightened up and come out. I think we're running clear conditions. The shadows are lengthening as the sun starts to drop on our race, but I think we will remain in absolutely optimal conditions. You couldn't wish for better racing conditions here at the home of the Belgian Grand Prix. It's lap 21 of 30. The crowd are staying to the end, and then you can see Taffy Dog, even though he's on the hard tyres, he is catching Cool Breeze on the same tyre selection. Nice, very team suitable and matching helmet design, at least for Cool Breeze. I think Taffy's gone for a very high gloss version of the team colours as well, as he races on through Eau Rouge, up the hill over the crest of Radion. Unsighted apex, the final part of Radion there, and here you can see already absolutely clear that he is going quicker. The sector difference was hovering at 1.548 on his dash, and then it suddenly dropped again. So he's still 0.061 in profit through this point of the lap. Some time ago, his fastest lap, Tango still has the fastest lap, a 2:15.433, set on low fuel towards the end of his starting stint. Tango on the hard tyres now, you can see here in the Ferrari. Option 1 on the toggle switch to the right of the driver's right hand. Quite sure what that switch refers to. It's set to option 1 anyway. Maybe maybe it's which position he's aiming for as he runs through the order and past our camera position on the exit of Stavelot. Dominant here in the feature races anyway. Tango that I've commentated over, Tango has been peerless in each and every one of them, and he's now catching Crammy, who's in P5. The Noticer is in the pits, trying to get some clues on his handling, I think, from his engineers while they refuel the car. Fuel going in now, and he declines any further. I think that stopped around 62 litres. And heading out of La Source we go. So that's was that Crammy in front of Tango? I think it was. The Noticer will be coming out of the pits shortly. Where is he now? Here he is, and he unfortunately transgressed the pit lane entry or exit line, and that's an automatic 3-second penalty for the Noticer. And he's obviously been struggling out there. Aruthra pits for his second stop then. He's run the hard tyres in the middle phase of the race. He's got 16 litres of fuel left in the car, so that's not enough to get him a further 9 laps. So he pits now. He may not have to do 9 laps. We'll have to wait and see where the drivers are relative to each other, whether Tango will catch Aruthra. Where is Tango at the moment? It's possible by the end of the race Tango will catch, but it seems unlikely at them right now. He's about to catch P5, Crammy. You just see that flash of light blue. There he is. But the speed difference not huge right now for Tango and Crammy. I think Crammy on newer tyres considerably, as they're now catching the Noticer as well. So let's focus on Crammy as he closes in to put a lap on the Noticer, and a half-second off throttle penalty will be a problem as the Noticer spins, collides with the wall, and then almost backs up and hits our race leader, reversing onto the racing line, reversing down the racing line. I think it's slightly downhill there, possibly stuck in neutral for a moment, but back on it. And yeah, it's not a day to remember at the moment for the Noticer for any of the right kind of reasons. Crammy obviously having to hesitate through there, but I imagine Tango would have been quite scared as that car was backing across the racetrack. So looks like gearbox and or possible brake issues for the Noticer on top of everything else he's been having, everything else he's been dealing with. This is Crammy in P5, trying to resist going a lap down, although it might at this stage do him a favour. I don't think he's going to trouble Aruthra for 4th place, so it could, if he's fuel limited to the end, I don't think he is. I think he's got plenty of fuel on board, perhaps way too much in fact. But he might fancy doing 1 fewer laps than the allotted 30 before the end of the race and bring this to a conclusion. It's a personal best sector 1 for Crammy. Unfortunately though, it's tripped through Lecom and Malmedy, not working nicely for him. And now we've got Tango closing right in. We've got a nice battle on track at the moment. This is the Western Sydney Racing duo. Taffy Dog catching teammate Cool Breeze. Taffy much happier on the hard tyres. Cool Breeze struggling, and I thought Taffy would have a pace advantage if he had gone onto the medium tyre, but he's held on to a pace advantage now that he's on the same tyre as Cool Breeze, albeit a little younger. But that difference, of course, that delta between the younger and older tyres in terms of outright pace gets less and less the more laps you run. Now they're right up against the Noticer here, who isn't obliged to move aside anymore. Goes aside though, and he does in fact lift on the way through. Now Taffy Dog is side by side as they head on into Pouhon corner. I'm pretty sure they just made contact again, the lightest of contacts. Taffy Dog goes through. They'll be chatting about that in the debrief later, over a pint, I would imagine. But Taffy Dog into 2nd place, and right now it doesn't look like Cool Breeze has got any answer for it. His last laps, 2 minutes 20, 19, 18, on the previous laps. Taffy's 17, 18 and 18. He's definitely managing to put on a much better second stint here on those hard tyres. His second stint on hards as well. So winning the sprint, I think he'd be pretty happy coming home, lead Western Sydney Racer after 2 feature races and a sprint race in the championship. But of course, there are still 6 racing laps to run, so anything could still happen. As you can see, the bus stop is completely in shade, the sun dropping behind the Ardennes forest trees here in the mountain range in Brazil, in outside of Brussels in Spa-Francorchamps, as now there are 6 laps, including the lap that the lead drivers are on at the moment, left to run. Tango is already running through Malmedy. He is so far ahead of Western Sydney Racing in 2nd and 3rd, although I do think this will represent a really good result for the team. Let's ride on board with Cool Breeze then, and see if he can use the tow from his teammate now to try and stay with him and put in a racing challenge by the end of the race, perhaps. Learn a thing or two about how to manoeuvre this car around Spa on the hard tyres. It's probably not the best way of going about it. You could get a bollard stuck underneath the car, unfortunately. At this point, dropping all the way down to 2nd gear through Rivage we go. Then we need to steer full right to turn left into Jackie X, widen the corner as much as possible. Then open up the corner for Pouon over across the entry curve on the outside, but didn't scrub enough speed off to get to the apex. Once the car starts to grip in and head towards that apex, at the 2nd apex through Pouon, can plant the throttle, but not before that point. Into now Le Fagna. It's kind of a piff-paff chicane, but it's taken a little ponderously thanks to the camber change on the asphalt. Then into the Stavolo corners, Stavolo section I suppose, Stavolo 1 and now Stavolo 2, slightly faster double right-hander, and then powering on out wherever there is currently grip on the circuit before straight lining as much as possible the corner prior to Blanchimont, and this Blanchimont itself. It looks like Taffy is getting away here as Cool Breeze will drop down through the gears once again, all the way down to 1st gear, and he heads in towards the pit lane. He's absolutely sick of his hard tyres. I think he's got enough fuel to a finish. Let's wait and see actually as he comes in, because those 2 cars were the closest on the circuit. That was a horrible klaxon sound going on in my ear. I hope it didn't affect you guys too much, but slow run into the pit lane for Cool Breeze, and he'll be hoping for a cooling off period as he drops down, gets some tyres in. Is the fuel man standing by? Fuel man is standing by. He has to put the fuel into the front of the car here, the fuel tank in the front of the driver, because of the rear engine naturally here on the Porsche, and then a ponderously slow trip out and up the hill. We are at full racing speed, but we've got to stay in those white lines, so you kind of have to temper your desire for speed. He's gone back to the medium tyres, so he is 2-stopping this one with just a few laps remaining. I think he felt like he's not going to live with Taffy Dog's pace now on 1 stop, so why not? We've got a free pit stop behind. Well, cool tyres into Le Fagna, into Le Com, almost undid the advantage of those new tyres, but he does have the slight issue of having to navigate past the noticer again, who has been plagued with problems throughout the course of today's race. Those hazard lights are still on, and well, Cool Breeze just expected, I think, the noticer to move aside, but he no longer has to. It's Cool Breeze's job to get past. He makes contact with the back of the noticer, so probably just making sure that every single panel needs some paintwork for the noticer and his Bitcoin racing team. This is Taffy Dog. He's not without issues on the front of the car here. Let's try and zoom right in next time we get the opportunity. and see that that front of the Porsche. Here it is, and it's a little bit crinkled and scratched up on that front right. Front left looks quite clean, and he's done okay. I think Taffy Dog, it's only going to be dirt on his Ferrari, and no one's been close enough to him to cause any paint chipping going on. So a nice clean is all the team are going to have to do for the Ferrari as he gets to the final 3 laps of his race now. Taffy Dog, 2nd place. Teammate Cool Breeze down in 3rd. We have got Aruthra, who's nowhere near Cool Breeze. Another driver who has 2 stopped, and the Aruthra line on the way out of Blanchimont resumes here. As he now is closing in on the Noticer for another lap. The Noticer moving full left, I think, there, really just tiptoeing around, and Aruthra just doesn't know which way to go to pass the Bitcoin Racing driver, the Noticer. How's Crammy doing in his Mercedes? Well, he is going to be in pretty worn medium territory as he runs towards the end of our race. Still struggling with the first apex through Pouhon. Don't want to touch that curb if you can help it. And how are the fuel loads doing at the moment? Well, the Tarmac Terra has about 1/3 of a tank of fuel remaining, with just 5 laps to go, or even fewer laps than that for him. The Noticer just over 1/4, which is similar for Tango in fuel load. Taffy Dog with the least amount of fuel left of anybody so far. It would be a surprise to me if he has miscalculated his fuel, but if he has, he can short shift and Lyco home now at this point, thanks to Cool Breeze taking that extra pit stop. Cool Breeze with just on 1/4 of a tank, so it does seem that Taffy Dog is going to be safe if Cool Breeze is safe on his fuel. And of course, Cool Breeze had the option to put plenty of fuel in the car previously, thanks to that second, possibly unscheduled pit stop, but it was a freebie for him at that stage. And here is Aruthra then. His white South Coast Racing with the black bonnet and Kraken on the intake scoop. Little yellow Webbo sticker on the background. I'm more than happy if drivers wish to recolour the Webbo stickers, by the way. We did upload some new ones recently as well, so have a look at those if you're watching. You can find them if you search WEB, possibly WEBB. We'll get all of them on the sticker sheet anyway. This is Aruthra, and he's running P4 at this stage. Crammy in P5. Tarmac Terra just seeing out the race now, P6. And how is the Noticer doing? As I say, I hesitate to watch him for very much longer, but he's down in 7th place. Tango, just a few kilometres left to go now in our race. My apologies, I haven't changed the speed from Imperial. I do have quite a lot of American viewers on the other streams that I run, but yeah, at the moment he's running there. Don't forget, there are great ways to support the channel now. Here on Webbo Red 5, you can of course like and subscribe as usual for free, and then there are the opportunity to tip or join the channel as a member for some perks that we've developed, and there's now a merch shop available through the Linktree link if you fancy a Webbo t-shirt or some Simracing socks that we've released. Although I don't think in Australia you probably have much use for socks much of the year. Certainly I wouldn't. And we've got Tango running then, and he's about to start his white flag penultimate lap of excuse me, that's the wrong thing. It's the penultimate lap. White flag will come for the final lap, and he crosses the line then to start his 29th lap. How's Taffy Dog doing? He's now just set 2 consecutive 2 minutes 17 times. Cool Breeze has set a new fastest lap on those new mediums as well. A 2:13.7 on low fuel is astonishing. Fantastic stuff from Cool Breeze, just lighting up the timing sheets, beating Tango's fastest by 2 seconds almost. So that is some. I wonder if you found a shortcut here in Spa, because that's crazy in comparison to Tango's time, but he is perhaps going to have to start thinking about his fuel economy now, because he has used quite a lot of fuel. Has Cool Breeze, so might not be able to keep pushing. Let's see as he crosses the line. That wasn't a better time. That was a 2:14. Oh, it was really slow. 4/10 slower than his previous best so far. That 2:13.7 for Cool Breeze. Fantastic lap. Fantastic stuff. Got some cars close together on track at the moment. This is Tarmac Terror, and he is closing in. Oh, he's just been passed by his teammate, so he's just been lapped. So he will run one fewer laps than his teammate out there in the lead. And I think on controller is Tarmac Terror. Probably not suffering the same kind of equipment issues as the Noticer today. We're going into almost sunset conditions as we finish out our race. Tarmac Terror is on his 27th lap. The Noticer is on his 26th, and Tango comes out of Stavolo. He's about to start his final lap of the race. We'll ride with him, shall we? Because he may be tempted to try for a new fastest lap, but that will be a difficult job on old hard tyres against Cool Breeze. It doesn't usually stop drivers pushing to make it happen, but he'll give it a go anyway. Plunking down through the gears, down to second gear. Not touching that first gear through the bus stop. Sometimes drivers will dip down into first gear in the second part of the bus stop. You can see how dark it is already getting here. Up to fifth, down then again to second gear for La Source. Getting quite a lot of apex. You don't always need all the apex through La Source, depending on your car's weight distribution and handling characteristics. Powering out then, and let's wait to see if we get a time update. Is he on for a potential fastest lap push here? Looked a little bit slow through Eau Rouge and Radeon, but he did stay in sixth gear, so I think probably not going for the fastest lap. Didn't get much kick coming out of there, and he's 4/10 slower than he's been before, which I think was that 2:15. So the only slight issue he's got is that he's catching the bright orange Bitcoin car of the Noticer here, so he'll just be treating him with kid gloves. But it's the final lap for Tango as he comes through. That's a gold helmet as well, and oh dear, the Noticer drives clean off the circuit in between the rivage. Well, he's just checking out the grip all over the infield at the moment is the Noticer, but less said about that the better right now. Tango, as I said, on his final lap, and trying to see this one out as well as possible. Into Le Fagna we go. Yeah, difficult to tell on the helmet design. It is so reflective. It seems to be colour shifting throughout the light conditions here as the clouds start to obliterate the setting sun here in Belgium. A crowd getting ready for their final course of frites and mayonnaise before they head to their cars or their public transport to get home. Through Blanchimont they go with Tango. The crowd will stand. It will start to wave their flags here for Redline Syndicate Racing, as Tango will win the second feature race of the season here in Spa. Congratulations to him, and continuing the winning ways of him and his team's combination. Taffy Dog absolutely thrashing the car through Blanchimont. He'll be very happy with today's performance and his strategy. Look at the how little fuel is remaining in the tank as well. Taffy Dog will come home. Crammy's come home fifth. Tarmac Terror in sixth. Taffy Dog will cross the line in second. I think we will see the Noticer come through in last position, but we'll pick up points thanks to the point structure that we have here at Project Racing. And whether we get to see Cool Breeze cross the line or not is an open question. I don't think we will see a Ruthra, but it's immaterial anyway. He can't not finish fourth as long as Cool Breeze exits the bus stop safely. Although frankly he could get out and push at this stage. Cool Breeze with the fastest lap of the race comes home on the final step of our podium as slowly as he possibly can. R02 is a fair amount back on the circuit, but let's give Tango his props as the winner of today's race. Taffy Dog won the sprint, but there was no doubt as soon as pole position was secured that Tango would come home to take the full and maximum points from the feature race today. Congratulations to him, and thank you everybody for watching. I really appreciate all the support on the channel and the invitation to be part of this Project Racing Season 2025.